Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. Today, there is reporting now in Israel that Netanyahu ordered Gallant not to travel to Washington, D.C., and this also comes with reports inside Israel that the ongoing cabinet meetings finalizing the Israeli response to Iran. Do you see that the cancellation of Gallant's visit as a sign of imminent Israeli response or not?
So I wouldn't want to characterize it all. Ultimately, decisions about members of the Israeli cabinet traveling to and from Washington are decisions for the government of Israel to make. So I wouldn't want to characterize that at all.
In Lebanon as well, the Deputy General Secretary of Hezbollah, Naim Qassem, today announced that he supports the efforts by the Speaker of the Parliament, Nabih Berri, and other political leaders to reach a diplomatic solution to this conflict based on the proposal by the United States and others of 21 days ceasefire. Do you see that this proposal and these efforts now, diplomatic efforts in Lebanon, has any feasibility to succeed, or considering what's going on the ground? I mean, 105 missiles today have been fired onto Israel, fighting still going on in the south.
A few things about that. So first of all, I did see these reports that Hezbollah now wants a ceasefire. And
de-linked from Gaza.
Yeah, de-linked from Gaza, that they just want a ceasefire on its own terms. And I think my initial response to this is, where have they been for a year? For a year, the world has been calling on Hezbollah to stop the attacks across the border into Israel. And for a year, Hezbollah said they would not do it unless there was a ceasefire in Gaza. They linked the two when the international community was saying, stop the fighting. And Israel was saying, if Hezbollah stopped attacks across the border, Israel would stop its attacks in response against Hezbollah. So for a year, you had the world calling for this ceasefire. You had Hezbollah refusing to agree to one. And now that Hezbollah is on the back foot and is getting battered, suddenly they've changed their tune and want a ceasefire. I think it's not surprising given the situation they find themselves in. We continue to ultimately want a diplomatic solution to this conflict. But as you've heard me say for the past several days, Hezbollah's forces in southern Lebanon refuse to fully implement United Nations Security Council 1701. Under the terms of that resolution, Hezbollah was supposed to put down its arms, and it was supposed to withdraw beyond the Litani River. And over the 18 years since that resolution was implemented, they refused to do either of those things. In fact, not only did they refuse to do them, they increased their arms just over the border from Lebanon, and they increased the number of just over the border from Israel, not over the border from Lebanon, obviously. So we support Israel's efforts to degrade Hezbollah's capability, but yes, ultimately we do want to see a diplomatic resolution to this conflict. We believe that is ultimately the only resolution that will provide real, lasting security to both the Israeli and Lebanese people.
So, I mean, correct me if I understand you wrong. What you are saying is, yes, we are ultimately want a diplomatic solution to stop this war, but it's not yet now. We want to give a window for Israel to attack Hezbollah more.
I think there is a question. So I think there is a real question of trust isn't even the right word. I was going to say, so it's trust, but obviously we don't trust Hezbollah. But you look at what Hezbollah said in 2006 when 1701 was adopted by the UN Security Council, and Hezbollah said that they would implement 1701, and they blew through all of their commitments. And so there is an obvious lack of faith in Hezbollah's ability to do what it said in 2006 and do what it's saying it would do now, which is agree to an actual ceasefire that would allow Israeli civilians to return home and allow Lebanese civilians to return home. So the answer to your question is yes, we do support Israel launching these incursions to degrade Hezbollah's infrastructure, so ultimately we can get a diplomatic resolution that allows 1701 to finally be fully implemented.
Netanyahu also today spoke directly to the Lebanese people as pleading with them to take this opportunity to take their country back. I mean, I'm quoting here. And some inside Lebanon are afraid of this conflict to spill into another civil war in Lebanon. Do you see that maybe this kind of rhetoric from Israel is pushing Lebanon toward more inner fighting other than fighting the South?
So I'm not going to comment on the Prime Minister's statement. I will just state our position when it comes to Lebanon. What we want to see come out of this situation ultimately is Lebanon able to break the grip that Hezbollah has had on the country. More than a grip, break the stranglehold that Hezbollah has had on the country. And remove Hezbollah's veto over a president, which has kept the country in a political stalemate for 2 years and kept it from moving forward in electing a president. And remove Hezbollah's ability to block the state from being the sole entity that can exercise force in southern Lebanon, because that's ultimately what has kept 1701 from being implemented, is that UNIFIL and the LAF can't properly do their job because Hezbollah won't move back and won't disarm. So that is the ultimate outcome that we want to see from this conflict. And obviously we do not want to see any kind of instability inside Lebanon. And I think the premise of your question, it's not the premise of your question, but one of the possible outcomes of your question would be because Hezbollah decides to resist pulling back and resist the Lebanese armed forces and UNIFIL doing the job that they're supposed to do under 1701.
My last question, a simple
Yeah, sure.
one. I asked